Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this fireside chat between LeanLaw and Intuit. And today I'm really excited to have Debbie Williams with me. So Debbie is Debbie, what's your title at Intuit?
My title is Partner Development Manager.
Terrific. All right. It's great to have you today. So we're here to talk about how LeanLaw, which is a timekeeping, billing, and reporting application, works together with QuickBooks Online to create a great pair for your law firm. And today's topic is about applications that you can attach to QuickBooks Online or LeanLaw to get that to enhance the functionality of these two together. So we call it, there's an app for that. And so let's talk about some of the apps we have that make QuickBooks plus LeanLaw even more awesome. So my name's Gary Allen. I am the original founder of LeanLaw. And I was a practicing attorney for many years and was constantly feeling the pain of poorly performing, disconnected software, as well as the economic consequences of inefficiency that creates in a law firm. I have a story I like to tell about when I was a young lawyer and the firm that I was working for, the branch office blew up because of an overhead dispute with the home office. And I was left on a Saturday afternoon without a job and a 6-month-old baby to feed. So that created a real passion in me to help make law firms into better businesses. And that is how LeanLaw was born. So that's my story. And so Debbie, what's your story?
Thanks, Gary. And I'm really excited to be on the call with you today. I love what LeanLaw does for law firms when you couple it with QuickBooks Online. A little bit about me. I've been with Intuit for about 10 years now. Started out with a company called T-Sheets, which was acquired by Intuit. It's now QuickBooks Time. And so, this topic of there's an app for that really hits close to home for me because we were that app, for a lot of years. And in my time at, what is now QuickBooks Time and carrying on into my years here at Intuit after we were acquired, it's been just such a pleasure for me to work with our partners, whether those are accounting partners or other partners such as LeanLaw. I love to see what we can do together to bring solutions to customers. At the end of the day, my heart is always with those small business owners and how can we make their lives better, easier, more efficient, give them more time to go, not be in the office. To be able to
Right.
get home to dinner on time, with their families. And for me, that's really been my passion and what I really enjoy about working with our partners and definitely seeing what we can do together to bring those solutions to customers.
Right, right. That last point you said really resonated with me because you think about increasing efficiency in terms of making more money for the business. But with small businesses in particularly, there's a lot about it, which is just creating more time
Yeah.
so that people can have more fulfilling and fuller lives. And that really resonates with me because people work really hard in law firms. And it's exciting to create ways where lawyers can have better lives, not just better practices.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so let's dive into some apps. So many mid-sized law firms haven't adopted an integrated payroll system. So they use separate systems or manual spreadsheets, which creates a hidden burden for them. So when you look at other verticals that you've worked with at Intuit, is this a common challenge that Intuit's customers face? And how can automated payroll address those problems?
Oh my goodness, yes, it is such a common challenge, which blows me away because we've been in this world of automation for quite some time now, and but honestly, spreadsheets are still one of our biggest competitors, which
The
which is
world
kind of
runs
funny. Excel. I mean, yes, we
the
automated
world
the
runs on
spreadsheet.
Excel, right?
So yes, very, very much a common challenge across so many businesses. And or they, potentially use a third party solution, a local company to do their payroll, but nothing's integrated, right? And so it's a lot of manual processes. It's a lot of, data entry, if you will, very, very time consuming, very error prone. The value of having an integrated solution, having your payroll, for example, integrated with your accounting, is that it really, especially with QBO and QBO Payroll, QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Online Payroll, really amplifies the power of QuickBooks by providing law firms and other businesses with access to their accounting and their payroll all within one platform, which gives you a seamless business management experience, definitely more real-time data to one of the largest expenses for an employer, which is labor, right? Labor
Mm,
is one of the largest expenses across all employer types when it comes to their P&L. So not only with an integrated system can you pay the employees quickly and easily, but also imagine like if your payroll taxes were being automated. What if those payroll taxes were automatically sent out, along with having access to things like health benefits plans, your workers' comp insurance, your 401k, all be managed within one place. That's really the power of automation.
that's exciting. Yeah, and I can't tell you how many law firms we've talked to who just have institutionalized the pain of
Mhm.
a manual process like payroll. It's like they're not even thinking that that kind of automation is possible. Now, I ran operations for several years here at LeanLaw, and so I got to see the power of an automated payroll system and the other applications you can build into QuickBooks, and it's life changing. I mean, I was
Yeah.
running payroll in 6 different states, and it's just me. So,
Oh, wow.
there's no way I could have done that without the automation that a tool like QuickBooks Payroll provides.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's imagine a world where your payroll runs itself and with automatic tax calculations and filings and workers' comp and all that sort of thing. So, what are the biggest saving benefits of an automated system compared to a manual system or a spreadsheet?
Yeah. Oh gosh. And you just alluded to it, with your experience running payroll in 6 different states. Imagine if you were doing all that manually. The tax filings alone, having to keep on top of all of those different due dates, and oh goodness, heaven forbid you miss a due date on a tax
Right.
filing.
And who knew that some town in Ohio has its own income tax?
Oh my goodness, yes. It is crazy the vast array of tax situations that are out there.
Right.
It's nuts. But with our payroll solutions, they really they allow you to set up auto payroll where you can what we like to call set it and forget it. We automate we can automate the payroll, we can automate the tax payments and filings, your year-end reporting through W-2s, those just show up in the employee's portal so that they can download them, print them out if they need to. I personally don't like getting a paper W-2 in the mail
Right.
because I'd rather have it electronically. That way I don't have to file it away in my home somewhere.
I
But we can,
throw it away
automate those
with the
tasks.
junk mail. That's
Exactly. Actually, I have a cupboard next to my desk here that has W-2s in it. I'll be honest, because I do get them in the mail, even though I never look at
exactly.
them and they go unopened. Um, but we'll go ahead and take care of all of that year-end reporting with the W-2 delivery, filing taxes with the appropriate agencies. We do the, either same day or next day direct deposit, which
Mhm.
is incredible. Especially, since with ours, you don't have to, fund it days and days and days in advance. It's
Right.
very quick on that. So we make just paying the employees a breeze. We make the year-end activities a breeze. Those tax filings, like I mentioned, those are, incredible to be have those done automatically. We also have a tax penalty protection where, if you do happen to get a tax notice, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of the research. We'll take care of the resolution. We'll take care of any kind of, the penalties or fines if there are any, up to, like $25,000 a year. So that's huge. That's a huge
Yeah.
benefit. When it comes to an integrated payroll there. With our employee portal, it makes, getting those employees registered, and allowing them the opportunity to set their fill in their W-4 electronically, all of those kinds of things. We make it quick and easy, and convenient.
Yeah, I really love that with the employee portal part of it, because when you're onboarding somebody, they can just do most of the work directly in the portal, and you don't have to get in the middle of it and have, something lost in translation, or it's just a lot of extra work. And that I've found that to be really smooth and easy.
Mhm. The thing I like about it too, as an employee, honestly, is every now and then, you have to change your W-4 because situations change. You need to change your
Right?
W-4. It's so great just to be able to log in, make the change, hit save, you're done.
Exactly. Exactly. So law firms often juggle multiple states and their tax and legal complexities. We've alluded to this a little bit already. So how does QuickBooks Payroll, or just online payroll software in general, because QuickBooks integrates with other payroll programs, how does it handle those challenges?
Oh, absolutely. And compliance is such a challenge, because every state has their own rules. And, as you mentioned earlier, there are municipalities that have their own rules. And those things definitely get very, very complex. You're just thinking of, especially companies back in New York, kind of in the tri-state area where they're working across state lines frequently.
Right.
It is really, really challenging to stay on top of all of the different, tax rules and things that they need to abide by. So, we stay on top of that across all 50 states. So our clients don't have to get caught up in all of that minutia.
Right.
They don't have to worry about, okay, well, we're opening up a new location, in Colorado. Now I've got to go research all of that and figure out, where to get
Yeah.
my tax number and how to do my filings and what the rules are and what the rates are. QuickBooks Online Payroll will take care of that for you, and other payrolls. I imagine do as well. The beauty of it being integrated, though, is that it really keeps everything in one place. And it, again, goes back to that efficiency piece, because
Right.
we love efficiency. We love automating processes. And, when your payroll is able to stay on top of all of those different tax rules and rates and filings and deadlines, it really means that there's less risk of the client ending up with the wrong tax rate or missing a deadline. It's frustrating, it's costly when
Right.
that happens, and just creates some really big problems internally that the firms don't need to deal with. They've got more important things
Right.
to do. So let us take care of that piece.
Yeah, I was thinking, LeanLaw tends to attract the more, modern law firms.
Mhm,
And we have several law firms who operate virtually.
mhm.
And so, our uh, contact may be in Boulder, Colorado, but they have lawyers all over the country working at
Yes.
home.
Yep.
And I just don't see how you could run a firm like that without a payroll solution like you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Because, in this hybrid working environment, so I'm in Idaho. I'm in Boise, where LeanLaw happens to be, which is super exciting for
Yeah.
me to have a partner here in my hometown. Um, but most of my team is, they're in Arizona or they're back in Virginia. I mean, they're all over the place. My partners are all over the place. So, with this hybrid working environment that we are in, that it definitely adds complexity, especially when it comes to things like HR. What are the HR rules?
Mhm.
In the different areas where you're working. And that is something too, where with QuickBooks Payroll, we do offer things like HR support with access to live HR representatives that are professionals in that space.
Right.
The ability to help you make your employee handbooks, or make sure that you're just following all of the correct rules for the states that you're doing business in. It really takes the burden off of the firm, because then again, they don't have to go research all that for every state they're in or where they have employees. Our HR services will help take care of that. We also, will help with providing workers' comp insurance, health benefits packages, 401k plans directly through payroll. We have some very highly vetted partners that offer those services directly, inside of our payroll. So
Yeah.
it really helps the businesses that are doing business across state lines, to
Yeah.
make sure that they're following all the rules.
Yeah, I meant to mention benefits just
Mhm,
because, again, having lived through this at LeanLaw, um, once we added benefits, it just added this amazing amount of complexity. All
mhm,
of a sudden, it's not just taxes and workers' comp. Now you've got to keep track of health insurance and 401k and dental insurance and all these other things that you do. And
mhm.
I just don't see how a small company does that at a reasonable cost without a solution like QuickBooks Payroll.
Absolutely. But those things are so important too, because when we're looking for jobs, right? People look for jobs with
Of
benefits,
course
with
they do.
401k. They need to protect,
Right,
their future. They need to have the insurance benefits for, the current,
right.
current place they're in life. So those things are the way you help attract, the best talent and retain the best talent. And you're right, we need help doing it though.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot imagine 6 states with benefits without like a full staff, a real staff,
Mhm.
but I could do that alone with a little bit of help, without, with automated system. It's a huge savings in my opinion. Um, and let me riff off of that a little bit, because what we hear from law firm managers is that subscription fatigue is a real thing,
Mhm.
that you're paying for all these subscriptions now. And, oh, here's another one for payroll. What kind of, they would need a return on an ROI, a return on investment, in order to make that investment. So are you able to quantify the kind of return that a law firm would get on adopting an automated payroll system?
Absolutely, yes. And you're right. Subscription fatigue is definitely real. It feels like, there's a subscription cost for everything. And it does
Right.
get to a point where, we're like, oh my goodness, another one. Honestly, I go through that with my streaming services.
Yeah.
Truth be told. I do, yes. So I get it. I totally get it. But when it comes to payroll, I'm gonna go ahead and give you two different stats here. One is, the American Payroll Association actually says that by going to an automated integrated system, you actually can save about 4% on your payroll costs annually. So, and so when you consider that payroll budget line item, like we mentioned earlier, is usually one of the largest on the P&L, right? Labor
Right.
is very costly. Saving 4% on that, if you figure out what that is, for your own firm, it's probably a significant amount, and it definitely, covers the cost of the payroll subscription itself. For us internally, we surveyed our own customers, and we found that amongst our small to mid-size customers, the savings was around $600 a year, for the smaller end of things. So it
Right.
really is a significant savings, and not only is that, savings on your P&L, but just think of the time, the time that you're getting back in your day from being able to automate a lot of things. I've talked
Yeah.
to payroll processors, like, the person in the office processing payroll who, went from like a whole day ordeal down to, a mere 2 hours,
Hmm.
once they, implemented um, automated payroll that was and when I say automated payroll, I mean, yes, obviously you do still have to have a little bit of input into it. You need to review the numbers, but it's more
Right.
like a review rather than an entry, you know. So it's saving so much time. Is getting all that time back in your day to do more important things, and knowing that you have the peace of mind that your payroll solution is actually paying attention to things like those taxes, and paying attention to some of those other really important dates and deadlines and things. The ROI, I personally, I feel is there, um, because again, time savings, peace of mind, accuracy, and just knowing that you are literally saving dollars
Right.
by automating it.
Right. I think about, as you said, 4%. I mean, it's like only 4%, but that's on your entire payroll. So if you've got,
Yes.
say, 10 staff members in a law firm who are making $100,000 when you build in the benefits, there's a
Mhm.
$40,000 savings.
Right.
So that's a pretty big nick off of your overhead, and definitely worth doing given the relatively small cost of this kind of
Mhm.
software.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, let's make a little pivot here
Mhm.
and let's talk about QuickBooks Time,
Love to.
um, which is so this is an add-on.
Mhm.
So can you elaborate on how this works and how it helps legal administrators manage their non-billable staff, including, the features like timesheets, expense tracking, and profitability insights?
Oh, absolutely. So QuickBooks Time is actually it comes with with two of our three QBO payroll subscriptions. So if you get QuickBooks Online Payroll Premium or Elite, you get the complementing version of QuickBooks Time right along with that. So thankfully, there's not an extra subscription there. It's just included with those two levels of our QBO payroll. Our base level QBO core payroll does not come with QuickBooks Time, but Elite and Premium do. With that, it's an incredibly QuickBooks Time is an incredibly robust, but really simple time tracking tool. It's deeply embedded within QBO and QBO payroll. And I personally used it for years, whether I was an hourly worker or a salary worker, because, even as a salary person, they still wanted me to track what I was working on, what projects am I working on, or what tasks am I working on. And it was really to be able to get insights into where the time was being spent. Because how do you know if somebody is needing help? If you don't know what they're working on, it could be that
Right.
somebody is tracking, research time that's not billable, but they're really inundated with it, and it's taking a whole lot longer than we thought it was.
Hmm.
You don't know that if it's not being tracked, and so being able to do proper resource allocation, or kind of gauging the profitability of that person's time. You might find that, wow, I've got somebody doing a task, spending a lot of their time on a task, when I have somebody who's maybe has a lower pay rate that can be doing that instead and doing
Right.
it efficiently, right? So that goes to the profitability aspect of being able to, see where's the time being spent, who's doing it, and are we correctly allocating our resources to be the most profitable that we can. With QuickBooks Time, you can also do things like, putting notes on timesheets. So if there's expenses that need to go with something, you can just put that right into the notes for visibility. And with the mobile app, you can upload things like receipts and
Hmm.
have those attached directly to a timesheet. So, there's a lot that can be done there to make sure that you are capturing everything related to those hours, all in one place, and then running reports on it again to see, from a profitability standpoint, where is the time going? Is it going where we think it's going? And do we have the right people allocated
Right.
to that?
Right. And let me just, so the audience understands kind of how QuickBooks and LeanLaw works together with regard to this. We're talking about tracking time for your non-billable
Mhm.
staff here in terms of uh, professional timekeeping, billing, invoicing, collection. That is all done in LeanLaw because LeanLaw has legal customized features related to that. But
Yes.
there's still a tremendous amount of value in the timekeeping that Debbie is talking about here. I'm kind of obsessed with law firm overhead. I think it's like at the root of a lot of issues that law firms have, that they're inefficient and administratively. A lot of law firms run at 50% overhead when you're not even counting, salaries for the billable people. I mean, and so you feel very squeezed in a law firm for your time, and that you always feel this overhead burden in just about every firm I've ever seen. And this is a way to start looking at that and go, wait a minute, how are our staff? Do we have the right kind of people doing the right kind of tasks? What's time being spent on? How can it be spent better? And all of this is possible with QuickBooks Time and QuickBooks itself to pull that analysis out so that you can actually see where your overhead is going in a more refined way than most firms can. So I think there's, some really interesting work to be done here to figure out how to make this tool into a profitability enhancer for law firms. I like
Absolutely.
it. Um, all right, so let's move on to another set of features. So let's talk about accounts payable. For example, this can be a struggle for law firms, especially if they have a lot of vendors like 1099 contractors and expert witnesses. So how does QuickBooks Online help streamline those processes? And then what additional value does an app like Bill.com bring?
Yeah, great question, Gary. And QuickBooks Online definitely has a robust workflow when again it comes to automated tracking. I've been saying that word automated automation a lot because there really is so much that we can do on that front. But to automate the tracking, the payment, the reporting of accounts payable, as well as being able to easily generate the 1099s for your contractors at the end of the year, because that's obviously really important to be able to get those uh, easily and quickly out the door. And when you have a lot of contractors, it can be a heavy burden to get that done unless you have a system that can get that automated for you. Bill.com is an incredible complement to QuickBooks Online. It does integrate with QBO. And it has really useful features like the ability to set up a custom approval policy, some customized invoice templates, payment status tracking, some automated email reminders, and as well as international wire transfers. So it really does a lot to make the process more efficient and smoother without again having to remember all of the little details. It's so easy for things to fall through the cracks unless you can have that automation set in. Custom approval policies are, in my view, just an incredible way to be able to make sure that the right people have visibility and are doing the right tasks,
Right.
and as opposed to just leaving that open to goodness knows who. So that Bill.com is as I said, an incredible complement to QBO. But the important thing really through all this, I think we're hearing is to implement an automated process. If you're still paying vendors with paper checks, you are literally throwing your time away. Um, because paper is not the best way to be doing business,
Right.
frankly. And I'm sure the
Right.
vendors would appreciate being able to get their payments through direct deposit, which is something that QBO offers as well, and being able to pay vendors via direct deposit, and again do away with the paper and speed things up.
Yeah, I don't know if we've done some analysis of the cost of sending a law firm sending a client a paper invoice versus an electronic invoice, and it costs about 4 times as much to send a paper invoice. Now, I don't know if there's ever been any studies done on, paying your vendors, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's a similar cost, because
Mhm.
people's time is expensive and it's not getting any cheaper.
Right.
So, you really should think hard about having electronic processes for things like this. And, there is a payoff today, and
Mhm.
there will be a further payoff as these apps become more integrated and, get better at what they do. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's a very exciting opportunity there. So let's talk about another one. So will everybody out there remember the days of chasing down the firm credit card? I certainly do. Um, and we there's an app out there that's fairly new that has kind of blown my mind on this front. It's called Ramp, and it's a virtual card solution. So you can issue a partner a card today for a case they're working on outside the office, and they can instantly use that credit card number. Now you can get physical cards. You can easily limit the time that cards can be used and the budget on them. And then all of the information comes in and is automated through, and the accounting automation is done with QuickBooks very easily. So maybe I've given away the answer a little bit here, but so how does QBO handle expense management, and how can something like Ramp further enhance this functionality?
Yeah, it's I have to chuckle because in my husband's business, like there is still the tracking down of the credit
Oh
card.
yeah, a lot. We did
It's like,
that
does he
before we
have
got
it? Does
Ramp.
does his executive assistant have it? Is it in a drawer somewhere? It's crazy. So I need to actually tell him about Ramp. So um, but thankfully, yes, there are solutions like Ramp and that can help and businesses of all sorts. But law firms have both your client expenses as well as your internal expenses. So there's a lot of different types of expenses going on, and expenses that are billable to the clients, they can be entered and paid in QBO, and then seamlessly transferred over to LeanLaw for billing and payment by that client. But it also works in the other direction. Client expenses can be entered into LeanLaw and then transferred to QBO. The bidirectional thing that LeanLaw has created with QBO is actually incredible. I like to say it's a thing of beauty. I hope that's not over dramatizing, but really, it is beautiful. And I've seen a lot of integrations with QBO.
We worked very hard on that.
But then your internal expenses, these would be things like, just think of your other overhead, the lease or the rent payments, whatever else, your regular, internal expenses. Those are entered and paid and accounted for just in QBO, because Lean Law doesn't need to know about the things that are not client facing. So all of your internal expenses, they're entered and paid, accounted for, just within QuickBooks Online itself. Ramp, which integrates with QuickBooks, like you said, Gary, it really is cutting edge. And with the way you can, put controls in place and change your expiration dates, like you said, earlier, doing a lot of those different tasks, your easy receipt matching, your accounting integration. Like it's an incredible enhancement to your expense management, and really does put in a lot of controls where controls are definitely needed. Again, in this hybrid working environment, how do we function really without tools like Ramp in place?
No, that was a real game changer for us. That was fun to see, such a strong and innovative way of looking at an old problem. It was
Mhm.
like, that's really, really a cool way to handle that. All right, I'm going to change gears again,
Mhm.
and now let's talk about CRM. So this is a really important function for for a lot of law firms, especially ones, consumer-facing ones who have, a lot of marketing that they do to clients, but to every law firm to kind of track the life cycle of a lead to a client, through doing the work. Everybody needs a CRM system of some kind, even if it's just tracking your contacts. And QuickBooks Online has integrations with two of the largest CRMs, which are HubSpot and Salesforce. And they offer robust features beyond just contact management. So can you delve into how integrating these CRMs with QBO benefits a law firm in terms of their client engagement and communication?
Absolutely. Yeah. With non-integrated systems, you really have, disjointed, double or triplicate, client data, in all of your different systems, right? You have to enter it manually into each place, and hopefully you have the names spelled correctly. You have your your commas in the right places. You didn't
Right,
drop an LLC off of the end of
right.
something, right? Because all of those things cause misalignment.
Hmm.
And when you have misalignment, things, it's hard to make sure that everything's on the same page. When you have an integrated system, such as with QuickBooks and and HubSpot and Salesforce, you really cut down on the amount of time that it takes to manage those systems, and you get rid of the frustration of having different contacts, or like the same contact with different names across each of them. When you have them integrated, you have your robust shared contact database. Everything is syncing with each other. Everything is staying on the same page. You're not having to maintain those separate databases, and as a result, your marketing and your sales workflows, even your client engagement, all of those, the letters that you're sending out, or the communications that you're sending out, all of those stay aligned. They stay on the same page. It's as if they're riding in the same car together,
Right.
as
Hmm.
opposed to three different vehicles caravanning to the same location, if you will. Terrible analogy, but but it really keeps everything in the same page, clicking along smoothly, as opposed to with non-integrated systems, how it always feels a little bit off or a little bit disjointed when things are not talking to each other.
Right. Well, and I think this is a really good illustration of how having an integration with QuickBooks in some ways mitigates the need for LeanLaw to have integrations with all these other tools. So, if you have, an integration that works well between QuickBooks and Salesforce, then all of the data that matters can then be transferred in back and forth between LeanLaw and QuickBooks without them having to connect directly. So we
Mhm.
feel like that's a kind of a force multiplier for us. And I mean, we may discover at some point there are things we want to do directly with Salesforce or HubSpot. There are things we can do today through Zapier.
Mhm.
Again, it's just a way to, for that we work better together with QuickBooks than trying to do everything by
Mhm.
ourselves. Um, let's move on to another app that we like, which is an app called Callbox.
Mhm.
Um, so Callbox, it assists law firms with collecting accounts receivable. It's not a collection agency per se, but they provide a professional approach to following up with clients about their bills. So
Mhm.
if you don't want to mess with that as the law firm, Callbox can help with that. So can you explain how Callbox works and the value that it offers?
Oh, definitely. And Callbox is a fantastic tool, and it does connect directly with your QuickBooks account. What it can do is it pulls invoice records into a real-time dashboard, and it identifies which accounts are past due and which ones require additional attention. So it basically kind of manages like the status of those invoices for you. And then depending on the age of that unpaid invoice, Callbox actually has two different products. One is Assist, and the other is Collect, and those will help you collect and get paid fast on those invoices that might be a little bit past due, or a lot past due. The beauty of it is they take that work off of your plate, and I can tell you, the idea of having to call a client about a past due invoice does not make me comfortable. Um,
Right.
it's just it puts me in a very uncomfortable situation of, it's just awkward. So it's wonderful that the Callbox, will take that. They don't have because they're not also making those phone calls to engage the client on different things, that positive side of the relationship. They're taking care of the less comfortable side of it. It's just it's a wonderful way to make sure that you're able to stay focused in your firm on what is, driving business ahead. And Callbox will come along, and they will manage the other side of things when perhaps bills have gone a little bit later than they ought to.
Yeah, that sounds like a valuable service for a
Mm.
lot of law firms. I think there's a lot that can be done to reduce the amount of receivables that law firms have with good practices, and we work hard on that, but there's still going to be those difficult accounts, and it can be helpful to have a different voice
Mhm.
to help with that. So
Well,
that's a good one to tag.
I think there's also a special skill to making those calls,
Right.
you know?
Yes, exactly.
And I don't imagine that, very many firms want to have, somebody who's trained up enough to be able to make those calls efficiently, better for them to use
Exactly.
their time doing other more important things.
That totally makes sense. Well, I'm going to jump on my soapbox for a moment here, if you
Please
don't
do.
mind. So what we've been seeing is, and mentioned this a little bit, is how Lean Law acts as a bridge, that it unlocks these hidden integrations within QuickBooks. So this makes integration of all your critical data possible across all of your applications. It's now feasible to have all of the parts of your legal tech stack talking to each other, which has been that's a big source of the inefficiency that law firms see. Now, once your financial workflows are working together, which is what we've been talking about, the next step is your what I call production applications, which means at the heart of it, Microsoft 365 for most firms. So within the next few months, LeanLaw is going to have an integration that allows your client details to flow seamlessly between MS 365 and LeanLaw, while calendar events and emails automatically trigger uh, uh, notice for you to make a time entry that will feed into QuickBooks. So this is really important to this time tracking part of this, because up to 50% of a lawyer's time can be lost if it's not captured immediately. So this, creates an efficient, streamlined workflow to help capture that time. Now, when you've got LeanLaw and QuickBooks at the heart of your financial operations and MS 365 at the heart of your firm's production, you've laid the foundation for what we call a best in breed or best in class practice management system. So with the proper configuration, Microsoft Teams and SharePoint create a central hub for managing your cases and documents directly linked to the matters. So, and we can recommend consultants that can help set this up for you. So then there are literally thousands of apps that integrate with MS 365 to fill in gaps like docketing and other things that you might need. And there's more coming. Integrations with document management giants like NetDocuments and iManage are on the horizon, which allow a truly holistic flow of information across your entire legal practice. Debbie, I've just gone speechifying here for a little bit. But I want to get your impression about how this kind of interconnection meshes with Intuit's strategy for vertical niches like law.
It's beautiful because it actually fits in with our strategy perfectly. Um, because with QuickBooks Online, our goal is to make it like the best core accounting solution out there for small to mid-sized businesses. And we know that when we do that, obviously there are things that we're not going to be focused on, right? There are verticals that have very specific needs of, for their businesses that we're not going to be building out within our product, because our goal again is to stick with that core accounting solution and keep that open interface available with other solutions, so that businesses, what they're able to do then is they're able to create that tech stack that meets their specific needs, because we know that there is no one size fits all for, or even one size fits most for
Mhm.
businesses out there. Each business is very unique in its own way and has unique challenges, it has unique needs. And if we can stay focused on that core accounting solution, and then have the integrations with things like MS 365, with LeanLaw, with other software, then our clients are able to then build that tech stack that's going to meet their specific needs and the way that they want them met, rather than giving them a product that works okay, but it's not great. We want them to have great, and we want them to be able to create that greatness with the products that they feel are best for them.
That's well said. I agree with everything you said, and I so strongly believe that this is the future of software. I've worked with years for tools that tried to do everything,
Mhm.
and I just kept waiting for that to work, and it has never worked the way I wanted and the way I felt like my firm needed to make this big jump in productivity that's possible if you use your technology well. So I I'm really excited the relationship we've developed with Intuit and QuickBooks, and I can see this coming together in a way that's going to be really beneficial for these for law firms.
Mhm.
Um, so why don't we just wrap it up at this point?
Mhm.
I'll just summarize a few things that we talked about. And we talked about a number of great apps that complement QuickBooks Online and QuickBook and LeanLaw together. So there's payroll, there's time, there's accounts receivable, there is expense management, there is collections, there's CRM. So pretty much everything you need to do on the financial side of your firm is available through this partnership and through the QuickBooks ecosystem. And when you tie that with the kinds of things that we see being available through MS 365 and through Google for firms that want that type of experience, you can build a great tech stack for your entire law firm that's the best of everything rather than okay at everything. And we think that's a very powerful way to go, and hope that law firms will see that and really take advantage of this opportunity. So that's really what we have to talk about today. We have one more of these fireside chats that we're going to do with Intuit, and that's going to be about focusing on the needs of the managing partner in the law firm. So we're excited to hope you'll join us for that, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Thanks and have a great day.